All right, everybody, welcome to the podcast for HowToRaiseAnAwesomeKid.com. This is Justin, and with me is Eric.
Hey.
Eric, how you doing?
Great, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. You know what I did? I uploaded that last podcast, and then I sat there and, usually I listen to it one time before I upload it just to make sure. And then I uploaded it, and before I upload it, I compress it,
Yeah.
So I decided, well, I'll just go and listen to it again just to see if, like, the compression makes it sound weird. And then I listened to that one all the way through, and then I listened to the one before that all the way through, and then the one before that I kind of started listening to all the way through. And I think you're the greatest, man. I think you really help. You make this podcast. I listen to it for you.
No, I just show up on this podcast, man. You're the one that actually runs this show.
No. I realized, and you can maybe turn this into a drinking game if you're listening at home. But anytime that I say I don't know, anytime I say I don't know, stop drinking. Like that's it happens so often that it's you can only hear things between me saying I don't know. And anytime you hear me not saying I don't know, then go ahead and take a drink.
Well,
that's basically my role in this podcast, is to say I don't know 100 times.
I think one thing that kind of shows off our amateur status as podcasters is that we're really good at throwing questions to each other that the other person is completely unprepared for. Like I know the first few episodes, you love to do that to me. You'd be like, well, here's this complex topic. What's your opinion, Eric? And it's like, I had tacos for dinner.
I think that's that's the thing. It's a podcast about, I guess, parenting or whatever, and we're too busy doing that, I think, to actually sit around and prepare and script this. So sorry, everybody listening, but yeah. I'll tell you what, Eric, there is somebody out there who does enjoy our podcast.
Oh,
and that's
is it my
because
wife?
I have some big news. It's not. It's also it's also your wife, but it's a dude who sent us an email. It's our first email.
Oh my gosh, is this the guy we're going to send a thank you card to?
Yeah. Well, I think you made a bunch of promises. So
I think you made a few promises too, friend.
Yeah, I may have. I don't remember exactly what they were, but they weren't. I think you had offered up like a SpongeBob DVD, and you were going to write an article for the site if somebody ever did this.
Oh,
and there would be thank you notes written. Like, you made all these promises, buddy. There's a lot out there.
All right. Well,
so go ahead and pull that email up if you want. I went ahead and forward it to you.
Okay, I got it.
And you were saying earlier you had to sift through a bunch of spam mail.
I know. My email account gets virtually nothing of a personal nature except stuff from you. Apart from that, it's always various local deals and
that's the way mine goes too.
And other companies, I guess, like my cable internet provider decided that by having their service, I somehow really want to know what's going on with their promotions all the time. And I get one email that I like, and I get probably once a month, where one of the three main credit reporting bureaus, I used to work for a company that was owned by one of those companies.
Oh, wow.
And they fired me. But one of the perks when I was working there was that, we got like the gold service for this company. So every now and then they still come on like with an email with the subject line, "As a token of appreciation," and they're offering me some crappy discount on some crappy service I don't want.
Nice.
Like, you don't appreciate me. You fired me.
Well, that's something. But the tip I was giving you,
that's like the opposite of appreciation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you still get that. I mean, So the tip I was giving you before we started was that if you have Gmail, anybody out there has a Gmail, I'm sure there's a few.
I've got Gmail.
That Gmail. If you have Gmail, and especially if you have it go into your phone, like it delivers to your phone, go ahead and create a label. And I call my label semi-junk, so it's not quite junk, but it's getting close. And so you create a label, and then you go through and create a filter and say any email that has the word unsubscribe in it. Go ahead and label it as semi-junk and mark it as red. So what that does is that then the email doesn't set off your notifications on your phone because it's already marked as red by the time it gets to your phone. And when you open up your email, in Gmail on your computer, you get anything that has the word unsubscribe in it it's a marketing email. So that's all marked semi-junk. So it helps you kind of zero in on the terrible fact that you're not getting any good email. That's
a great idea, man.
Yeah, and I also, speaking of, and we'll get to that email in a little bit because we gotta tease it out and we have other things to deal with. But I got some fun email yesterday or the day before. Now, you remember that website you and I, or of course you remember the websites that you and I have worked on.
Are these the ones that we can say on air? or is this one of the other
No, yeah,
websites?
both, all of the above. So I still pay the hosting bills. Like they're minuscule, but they're like I still pay the hosting bills for those sites. And I got an email from my host my hosting service letting me know that somebody had kind of backdoored, hacked their way into one of the sites that I was hosting, and was using it to serve up I don't know, Levitra or Cialis spam email from like Hong Kong. So they went through and ran an audit, and basically like everything on my host, everything that I was hosting was out of date. So I one of the sites that Eric and I used to work for was a site called Nintendorks.com. And this is something that you and I worked on when we were like 18 and before probably. And you know, it was so I still host the message board for that site, and that site apparently I guess was okay, but a lot of the sites around it were kind of injured and needed to be fixed or deleted. And so that's what I've been doing the last 48 hours is fixing and deleting a lot of stuff. But you know what I found out through that is that Nintendo.com is no more. It's gone.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
I don't know if you knew that. Like it's apparently they let the registration lapse, and they re-registered over at Nintendorks.net. But the site is now owned by like this, I don't know, Korean or Hong Kong squatter or something like that. They're just sitting on the site serving up terrible ads.
They'll get bored of it eventually. They always do.
Yeah. So let that be a lesson to anybody out there who runs a website. Do not let your site lapse, because I always thought that you had like 30 days after it lapsed to still re-register it before it went out in the wild, but apparently not. Like, well, if you don't register it by that date, it goes out there.
It goes to Korea.
Korea, exactly. And not even maybe the good Korea.
It might be the bad Korea.
That's right.
Do they have computers over there?
I don't know. I don't.
First generation iMacs.
I think Dear Leader has one, but not anybody else.
They say taste the rainbow.
So that's kind of a little bit of housekeeping. That's kind of catching everybody up on what's going on.
Yeah.
How's your kid?
They're all right. You know, I think I mentioned last time that one of them's crawling. The baby's crawling, and he has not been sleeping at night very well. We realize this because he's busting through 3 teeth at once. So it's misery. Yeah. It's a constant state of awfulness.
It is, but at the same time, at least he's kind of getting 3 done at once, you know, instead of like one after the other, right?
Whatever you say, man.
That's going to be my silver lining on that one.
Yeah, silver lining.
Yeah, my kid's kind of doing the same thing. He's we're up to like 2 doses of Tylenol a day now. He's pretty miserable. In fact, as an aside, for Christmas, I got probably one of the best gifts you can get if you have kids, and that is my sister gave me an annual like family membership to the aquarium here.
Oh, okay.
And then my mom gave me an annual membership to like the Children's Museum. So this weekend we took the kid to both of those. It was perfect because the thing is like, when you have a little kid, you know, it's like a ticking time bomb. You know, you take them in there and it's just a matter of time before they kind of, you know, they get upset, or it's time for a nap, or it's time for a meal, and so it's time to go. And with an annual pass like that, you can kind of breeze in. Maybe you just do a half hour, and he gets upset, you leave. So that's what we did today. My mom came to town, and so we went out again today, and we went to the Children's Museum, where my son had like a thermonuclear meltdown.
Awesome.
Yeah, he completely did not understand why his dad wouldn't let him push a child-sized shopping cart into a crowd of people. He was very upset about that. And
I can imagine.
He insisted on letting everybody know. And so it was one of those moments where we just had to scoop him up and take him out of there screaming and snot shooting out and just eyes tearing. It was just a complete mess.
Yeah, you've got a few more of those in store too.
Oh yeah, oh no, I'm ready and used to him. I'm simultaneously used to him and ready for more. It's okay.
Yeah.
So that about brings you up to date on.
That's
on
the
my
kids.
Kid. Yeah, that's the kids, everybody. So did you have anything else, man? Was anything new with you? Anything you want to share?
No, I mean, well, I've been playing a lot of Nintendo stuff lately.
Oh yeah.
I guess the old Nintendork is coming out.
I heard an announcement. Was it yesterday or today?
Probably
about,
yesterday.
New stuff. There's new Wii U stuff. There's Wind Waker.
Yeah,
for the Wii U.
They're talking Wind Waker, I guess. And you know, I never really liked that one. I know it's popular for the cool kids to say that they love that game, but it wasn't really for me. Too much sailing.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny because I was thinking I wouldn't mind playing that again. It's been a while.
Well, I did that too, fairly recently. It was like my second playthrough, but all told, I mean, all the sailing's really discouraging in that game.
Not to get too much like inside baseball on this stuff, but there was a time, I guess, like the original Nintendo 64, those games where it was such an amazing feat for them to make a 3D area. So one way they would kind of drag it out is, you've just got this thing, just got item A, you need to go give it to person B. So that person is on the other side of the entire game. And so you have to go ahead and just wander over that other side. And then once you're there, well, guess what? You got to go deliver this new thing to person C, which is, again, back on the other side of the map. So it made it feel like you were playing a really long game.
Gaming at its most miserable.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to crush anybody's sense of pride about a certain old Nintendo 64 game or two, but that's basically kind of what was going on there. And I was playing the Twilight Princess, the Zelda game for the Wii. Same deal. Like
Really?
I'm 2/3 of the way through the game, and I'm really like I am hating the fact that I have to run errands across the game, and I know you love that one, but
I do. Do you not have the horse?
Yeah, I have the horse.
Things go a lot faster when you have the horse.
That's true, and I have warps and stuff like that, but it's still like I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too old for this. It's just like I don't really feel like doing all that stuff.
You know what I've picked up lately, though?
What's that?
I'm on Metroid. I am
Metroid. Yeah, which one?
I am
talking
full
about
dosing on Metroid. I think I'm going to play through them in the sequence of the narrative in the games. So I'm starting. I could have started with the original Metroid, but I think I'm starting with Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance instead.
Okay.
Just because it's like a remake of the old Metroid. It took out a lot of the things that made the first one really rough to play.
Those Game Boy Advance ones were fun.
Yep.
I remember that.
Absolutely.
That was back when I was working. I actually reviewed those like for pay, and that was fun. That was one of those rare times when you're playing through a game and getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
Where you don't hate it.
Yeah, I reviewed Kiss Psycho Circus for Dreamcast. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wow. Well, you get to keep that, and that's yours. You get to have that.
I think I didn't.
So you want to go ahead and dive into this email?
Let's dive in, man. Let's see what's going on.
We can do it. I have one qualification. You have to read the email on the air.
Okay, me
in the Casey Kasem voice. Yeah, you.
I don't have a Casey Kasem voice, but
try.
I'll start the email.
I'll refuse to even approach this email unless you will read it for us in a Casey Kasem voice.
No. It starts off, "Howdy, Eric and Justin." So right away you're thinking this. Here's a guy.
And I should say this.
Here's a guy
comes
from Texas.
With, yes, the guy's name is. Or I guess he introduces himself. Go ahead, read it.
My name is Mike from Kentucky. So he's not.
This
from
is the
Texas.
worst Casey Kasem impression I've ever heard.
I don't do Casey Kasem.
How about you? Almost sound like Casey Kasem right there, man. Go ahead, do it.
If you want to get me cursing about like dog dedications, I can do that, but I can't sound like Casey Kasem.
We can't come out of a break. All right, go ahead.
My wife is currently 8 months pregnant with our first child, a little girl we're naming Evelyn May, beautiful name, due March 16th, 13. That's actually me putting it aside that it's a beautiful name. Mike wasn't Mike wasn't pumping up his daughter's name too much. Anyway.
That's okay. That's right.
My question for you is this. I'm a huge night owl and stay up well into the early hours of the morning already, whereas my wife is more of the early to bed, difficult to rise kind of person. We've talked about having a sort of baby schedule where I take first shift and watch the baby for a few hours while she sleeps, and then after that, she will be responsible for waking up and taking care of the baby in the morning hours. Do you guys believe a system like this could ever work? We're both willing to put in our 50%, and I feel like I need a strategy or else neither of us will ever get any sleep. Is a few hours of uninterrupted sleep better than sharing the duty? Thanks, guys. Love the show. Mike.
Yeah, that's the best part, actually, of the whole email, that last line there.
He loves the show.
Thanks, guys. Love the show.
All
right,
Mike, we love you.
Did he? Hold on, let me scroll down. Is there a PS? Like, does he have a song dedication? Like, does he want us to play like? No. All right. That's too bad. I mean, if he wants to,
I don't know, Scoob. See, that's
easy.
That's the best I can
do. You want to do like
Casey Kasem.
Easy like Sunday Morning by Lionel Richie? Okay, here it goes. All right. So. Yeah, that's a great email, Mike. Thanks for being the first person to send us an email.
Seriously,
and
Mike,
thanks for sending that email. And first of all, it's I should just say, Mike, that it's well formatted, it's well written, it's well punctuated. Just everything is great about this email.
I can hardly believe that it came from the internet.
I know, it's amazing. I wouldn't. Yes, maybe this is like a service where people send handwritten letters, and this service just types them up for us and sends it to us. I'm not sure what was going on here, but it's great.
Yeah, it's
This
fantastic.
email could have come from like 1895. It's awesome. So, Mike, Eric, you want to go ahead and tackle this question? I'm going to tackle it too, but you want to go ahead and take first dibs?
All right, actually, I got this a few days ago when you sent it over, and I was driving at the time, so my wife kind of pilfered my mobile phone and was
Yeah,
perusing the email, and she thinks it's a great idea, and really, it is
yeah,
a good idea. I mean, if you can get away with doing that, typically I find in a marriage it can be a little tricky if you have different schedules like that, but with kids, all bets are off, and
yeah,
any new parent would definitely appreciate a few hours of sleep where you don't have to worry about it.
yeah, yeah. I would totally agree with that. I mean, and I'll go over it. I've kind of my wife too was very excited about this, and she and I talked about it a bit. She was excited that we got an email. She was like, "All right, finally, this thing that you've been doing for 4 months is paying off, and somebody's paying attention." So yeah, I mean, I would say that Mike, to answer your question, or to answer, I guess, a number of your questions. My wife and I, same deal. I was completely a night owl, and I was also at the time. I remember being very wary that that what is that Bible? Is it the Bible verse about putting away childish things? I was very wary that very soon
Gosh,
I
I
was going to
hope
have to
not.
put away childish. Yeah, very soon I was going to have to
Trouble.
put away video games because it was time to raise a kid.
That's
And
before you bought my Wii.
yeah, that was way before that.
I'm just checking.
So I remember at the time I had definitely gotten into a groove where it was like I am going to, I think definitely during like my wife's pregnancy, probably especially the last trimester, where she was miserable and she would just go to bed at like 9, and so I would definitely be up until maybe 2 playing video games because I wanted to like get the last bit out. Like I knew the day that baby showed up, I wasn't gonna be able to play video games ever again,
Yeah.
which is absolutely not true. It actually opens up new doors for being able to play video games at 4 in the morning, whether you want to or not, because the kid has woken up, and you have to just sit there with them while
And that
trying to
works
get them to
fine
go back
until
to
they hit
sleep.
about 3 or 4 months old when they start reaching for your controller all the time.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
it's out the window
yeah.
again.
Yeah, and so to this day, I'm still, if I want to play a game, I have to be a night owl. I have to kind of wait for everybody to go to sleep, and then maybe get in an hour or two, like between 11 and 12, or 12 and 1 or something like that. So that's what you describe is exactly what my wife and I did. We I would probably go to bed around 2 and wake up around 8, and she'd go to bed around 10 or 11 and wake up around 6. So somewhere in there, we'd basically be able to kind of take care of the kid. Embrace yourself, man, because I don't know about Eric's kids, but my kid didn't sleep through the night until he was 8 months. So it's 8 months of you guys getting up and taking care of the kid. And honestly, what my wife and I did was we got into a rhythm of just every other night. Every other night, tonight's my turn, tomorrow night's your turn. As far as getting up and taking care of the kid when they wake up, inevitably when they do, and that's a good thing. I think we've talked about it in the podcast before, but I think a baby's brain consumes the first 3 months or so. They consume about 83% of their calories. This goes to their brain. So when they aren't eating, their brain is not getting what it needs. It's kind of not, I'm not going to say starving, but it's not exactly getting all the nutrients it needs, not exactly getting all the energy it needs to grow. So it's a very good thing to have to wake up and feed them in the middle of the night. So hopefully, I'm not sure if your wife's
Is
going to
that how you
breastfeed,
told
but
yourself that?
yeah. Yes, that's exactly what I told myself.
Did that work
I'm
at 3 in the
performing
morning?
A good thing. Yes, it does.
How did
man.
that
It
go
does.
for
Like
you?
well, first of all, and I was going to get to this, and that's I was raised by a single mom, so I very much feel like, I should say, I've very much seen a mother, or I've seen a parent do 100%. So I know in your email, Mike, you said that we're both willing to put in our 50%, but I feel like if both parents take the approach that this kid, I'm 100% responsible, then you get a decent amount of overlap, and you never feel like, well, I came up to this point and I did this much, and now the rest of it's yours, because that's where fights start. You don't want to get to the point where it's like, well, I feel like I've done my duty, and now it's up to you, and I'm going to bed, because that's where you start to get a little animosity about who's getting enough sleep. I definitely know couples who are going through that, like he's getting more sleep than I am, that type of situation, and you don't want to start down that road. Mm-hmm. So I would say that treat it like it's 100% your responsibility, and if she says to you, oh, don't worry, go back to sleep, I'm going to take care of this one, great. But otherwise, just treat it like it's, the kid's up, so you got to get up. And I think it'll make you feel a little bit better about the responsibility, because ultimately it is. It's not half and half your kids. It's 100% both your kids. So
Yeah, and I think there's a few different levels. I mean, when you first start off with the baby, take some time off work. I mean, I took 2 weeks off. If you can get away with that, give it a go.
Yeah.
Just because the first few weeks.
What, you mean your company doesn't have 6 weeks of paternity leave?
No, we were pondering a move to Europe, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's the first week or so is just complete chaos. It'll just go by. You don't even realize it's happening. There is no concept of regular sleep. You get fits and starts wherever you can. I mean, it's a real mess. After that, I mean, there does start to be some kind of differentiation between night and day. You know, there's not going to be a such thing as sleeping through the night, but there will be limited waking up at night. You know, if you're lucky, maybe 2 or 3 times. And if you're really lucky, your wife is a strong believer in breastfeeding, which means it's all her. Which
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that. I mean, my wife breastfed, and she also pumped, and so there was a decent supply in the freezer or in the fridge that we could go ahead, if she needed to sleep the night, I can go ahead and take it out and take care of the kid.
See, my son left no drop undrank. I mean, he was like, 21, 22 pounds at a 6-month appointment. He was the poster child for a chubby breastfed baby.
You know, my kid is 25 pounds, and he just got finished his 15-month appointment, I think.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's a big kid.
He was a big baby, a great big fat baby, but now he's still 21, 22 pounds, and he's 9 months. He hasn't really gotten fatter since then. He's kind of started to even out since he's started eating normal food. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's just something you got to deal with. And, a few months down the line, there's resources. My wife read a book about sleep training a baby, and it worked. It still gets a little hectic as he's teething, just because he's waking up, and you don't want to undo the sleep training, but at the same time, if there's something actually wrong, if he's actually hurting, then that's kind of what you have to expect. I mean, even a sleepy baby isn't going to be too happy if something hurts in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And I'll also put in a word from my wife, and that was one of the other decisions we made was we actually moved a month after my baby was born. We moved to a different house, or to a different state, and what we did in both houses was we had the baby in. This is actually something our pediatrician recommended was nobody wants to talk about SIDS, but the thing is that apparently statistically, it's just much safer for there to be a parent in the room with the baby up until you're a year old, according to very militant pediatrician we had. Cool. So that's what we did. I'm not sure if we did that up till a year old. I think maybe it was the first 6 months. But what we did was, just one of us would sleep in the normal bed, and one of us would go sleep in a bed in the kids' room. And what that meant was that the one parent, if we did alternate nights, which is what we ended up doing after the first few weeks, one parent always had a really solid, good night's rest because they were in their own bed away from, the kid waking up.
And the other parent had to sleep through hell every night.
That's right. But, but at least it was, you were, I don't know how to put this. At least it wasn't 7 nights a week that you were kind of miserable. It was, every other night, at least you got a decent night's rest.
Yeah.
So, and there's, I should say that following up on that, I know a couple who, they have much older kids now, but they still alternated weeks. Mm-hmm. They would, 1 week it was, not that the kids were getting up, but it was, it was that parent's night to put the kids to bed, put them down, read them, books for a half hour, and, make sure that they were finished their homework and all that stuff. And the other parent got to, watch sports or play on the internet or whatever it was they were doing. And they would just take turns every other week doing that. And I think that's probably something that my wife and I will probably slide into eventually. Just, for your sanity. I think if the two of you are both kind of fighting it together each night, it can be draining. There's no time left for each other at the end.
Yeah, and I think part of the reality is when you start running low on sleep, as you will, you're not always using your best judgment. You're not always, as calm as maybe you could be. My wife and I, we really don't disagree much, but when the baby's up at like 2 a.m, that's when we usually disagree with each other. It can lead to fighting, and you just need to be able to take a step back sometimes and take a deep breath, understand that it's the fatigue that's talking, and don't get all personal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a troubleshooting situation when a kid's upset or when they're awake, and it's, I think we in there. And that's the thing about this podcast. I'm trying to like get this stuff down so I can remember if we have another kid. Is that it ends up being there's about 4 or 5 things that the kid needs in order to be happy or to be sleepy again. And yeah, I mean, if you're up in that situation, I think as 2 cranky parents, you start. Well, did you try this? Well, did you try this? You start kind of second guessing the troubleshooting of your partner.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to put it out there, because I kind of sort of remember, and it's kind of fading, but one of the things that one of the doctors suggested always was if your kid's upset and you've tried feeding them, you've tried rocking them, you've tried shushing them, you've tried white noise, you tried getting them into the darkness, you tried all that stuff, take them back to 0, completely strip them and redress them in totally new clothes, new diaper, everything. One of the doctors said something like, you never know if like one of mommy's hairs got snagged in their clothes while they were getting dressed, and now it's like wrapped around their ankle or around their toe or something like that, which is kind of a terrible thing to think about, but it is something that maybe you want to check. So, and we've done that, and it always seems to work. It's always like maybe the diaper was pinching the wrong way or
like a reset
like
button.
That. Yeah, that's the reset button. Like you just go ahead and remove. That's what you would do when you were troubleshooting. If you were in tech support, you would just go ahead and remove all possibilities of anything being wrong and just start over. So I think I just cranked out the 4 or 5 reasons why your kid might be upset. So
yeah, and it's hard to
taking notes.
It's hard to tell. I know with our first son, it was always easy. His diaper was messy, or he was hungry, or that was it really.
So it's like a one-way shoot, basically.
Yeah,
I need something in here, or I need something out of here. One of the two.
Yep. The second baby was a bit trickier. We don't always know why he's getting fussy, but sometimes he is. Yeah. And all the advice in the world, it's all arbitrary. I mean, even going back to the whole sleeping with the baby for the first year, I think that's kind of some new advice on the scene. I know we heard about that with Harrison and decided heck no. And nobody knows anything. That's what it comes down to. Yeah,
I mean, it's you could say that's a statistic, and it just has no basis in any type of reality. It's just something that they suggest for the heck of it. So
yeah,
I don't know. I wouldn't. See, I just said I don't know. There you go. Take a drink. So yeah, I would say that.
Don't you get the green slime for saying I don't know?
I don't. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I completely lost my train of thought. That's usually what I don't know means. No, it's all right. It's all right.
Water.
Water. I don't know. Oh man, there's like only 5 people that would get all this.
Oh, there's probably fewer than that. Sorry. Sorry to go you can't do this on television on you.
All right, Mike, that's probably way more information that you were hoping for or expecting. Anybody else who sends an email, you can also. That's right. Anybody else out there who sends an email, you can also expect this type of care and attention. So here's your chance. If you want a lot of attention, please send us an email. No more promises. You're not going to win any SpongeBob DVDs or anything like that.
But I only had like one extra one.
Yeah. So, but there's a pretty good chance we'll read it on the air. I'm not going to say 100% chance, because then it'll be embarrassing, because then everybody will know when the next email shows up that we haven't gotten an email since then. So, yeah, that's all I got, Eric. Did you have anything else you want to talk about tonight?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I've just been I've been listening to music lately. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, we didn't. We should.
Oh, I can't go through the whole list. That's going to be tricky right now.
I know. I was going to say I like the segment we did last week. What was it? One book, 2 movies, 3 songs. I like that.
You made it up.
I know. I liked it a lot, and I think we'll definitely. I'm sad we're not doing it tonight, but we'll definitely do it in the next podcast.
Well, I've got like some time.
Tell me about the music.
Yeah, I've got some time during work tomorrow where I don't have meetings, and somebody is letting me borrow the soundtrack to Les Miserables, which I've actually never heard in my life.
Yeah, me neither. And that's despite like a weird period where I actually was a pretty big Andrew Lloyd Webber dork. Because isn't that Andrew Lloyd Webber? No, he didn't do that.
No.
I thought he did.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I'm probably thinking of Cats. No, I think probably Family Opera or something like that. All right, so who did do that?
Let me see. It's by Alan Boublil and Claude Michael Schoenberg.
Oh, is this like the original? Are you listening to like a Broadway?
This is the
thing, or
original
like the
London
movie?
cast.
Okay, exciting.
But yeah, my dad's a huge fan, and this is like my dad.
Really?
My dad, who's this grumpy old guy who argues with strangers on
don't-
Facebook.
I don't know about your dad. Your dad was around. We did like that the football, the fantasy football
Yeah.
drafting thing, and so he was there, and so I heard him. And he's got like a deep Indiana accent, and so I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that he's a big fan of Les Miserables.
Yeah, it's one of those curveballs he throws. But
Yeah.
he's always talking it up. So I'm like, I can borrow it, so I'll give it a listen. And,
Let me throw you off, man. What's the curveball you're gonna throw at your kid?
oh, something that I do that's completely unexpected.
Yeah.
I tell my son to expect the unexpected.
All right. Come on, man. You don't have anything? Come on,
I'm
tell
trying
me.
to think
Tell
I
me
have some
something.
personality trait that's just completely out of whack with the rest of
It's
me.
gonna like blow his mind.
I don't know if I've quite developed that yet. Let me
Probably this podcast. I don't know. When are you gonna tell him about this podcast?
never.
I figure I'll tell my kid like, yeah, probably never, but maybe once they say, "Oh, Dad, we're having a kid. You're gonna be a grandpa." I'm like, "All right, well, here's 1,000 episodes of this podcast I've been doing for the last 20 years. Enjoy, catch up, listen on all the terrible things that I learned about being a parent." So.
But anyway, yeah, I got that, and I also got the new Yola Tango album. So it's got a pretty cover. Can't wait to hear it.
Nice. Well, what more can you expect, man? I mean, if it's got a nice cover,
I know.
that's awesome. All right, man. Well, I'm not listening to anything actually. I mean, I tried to listen to some Doctor. What
Dr.
was it?
Demento?
Doctor Demento.
You
Yeah,
tried
I tried.
and failed.
I tried, man. I'm gonna ban those types of suggestions in the future. You need to pick out one song, man. I want you to listen to this guy's entire recorded back catalog of 20 years.
It's a compilation album. Too much to ask for.
Probably.
I guess.
All right, man.
All right.
Well, that's all I had to talk about. We'll go listen to some Dr. Demento right now.
Sounds good.
Maybe you can help me out and try to understand why why you would suggest this thing.
Because it's awesome.
Why you would foist this upon the people listening.
Oh, but to be fair, you are not 12. You're not 13.
That's true.
That's
true. I've heard a lot of those songs already. So
yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks for talking with me. I think we had a pretty meaty little podcast here, and it was all dedicated to Michael with his question.
Thanks Mike.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too. I hope that didn't make us sound desperate.
What?
All
Oh,
the mic love.
fawning over him.
Yeah.